Space Coconut.
Okay, since we made a short list of survivor types, it's only fair that we make one for killer players. But since I only play as killer and have almost no experience going against other killers, I'll be talking about the different mentalities I have when going against survivors. I'm sure that many of you will be able to relate to this list on some level or another. This list is made referencing matches I had recently and does not include every type of killer mentality. If I miss one on the list, suck it up and wait for the next episode of the series. If you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, you won't miss it. And on that note, the algorithm overlords already know everything about you, so make sure you do the things if you want to do the things, or else. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Omega Jugs, who was the streamer in the survivor list. She was a really good sport about the video, and I think it's important to give props to people who can take a joke, considering how some streamers and their communities can treat people who don't share their sense of humor. As for my community, I know that if we see somebody who comes to the comment section being a good sport about the video, I'm sure all of us are going to welcome them with open arms and a handshake welcoming them to the community. Anyway, I'll put her link in the description, so check out her stream and give her a follow if she's your type of streamer. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about 5 different types of killers. We've all seen it, that glorious daily text, "Kill one survivor by your own hands." The daily that gives us permission to use the offering hated and dreaded by survivor mains around the world. The daily quest that makes us remember all of those survivors that bullied us in previous matches. That invisible Claudette teabagging at the hatch, the Dwight jumping into a locker with DS, Lori with her object of obsession, and the rest of the pallet looping, infinite abusing, flashlight having, key using pieces of crap that are survivors. The daily that lets you mori them all. Except for Jeff. Jeff mains are alright. They still gotta die, but they're alright. Survivors will see this offering pop up before the loading screen and often lament how garbage their match is going to be, and often prepare for the worst. Some killers, who don't actively use moris in matches, will often try to play as fairly as they can when trying to complete a mori daily. They'll try to hook everyone once and have a fair time, or do their best to only mori a survivor when they're on their last hook. If you're on your second hook, and the killer hooks you rather than using their mori, be sure to thank them after the match. They probably did you a favor, even though they didn't really want to use the mori on you. If you got tunneled and moried straight off the hook, it's probably karma for something you did in previous matches. Don't try to deny it. We all know you're a toxic survivor once in a while. We've all had this experience. You've basically outplayed the survivors through an easy or difficult match, and they're all at your mercy, bleeding on the ground waiting to be hooked. Then boop, one of them stabs you with decisive or pops up with unbreakable, setting you up to possibly lose all of your hard work thanks to the incredibly effective ranking system in Dead by Daylight. Some killers might simply let it go. It's just a game after all. But no, not you. You put those survivors right where they belong, crawling, bleeding on the ground. It might have been easy or it might have been difficult. Either way, you earned that 4K. And not even the devs and their ridiculous hand-holding helpless survivors are going to prevent you from keeping what you earned. This killer will take the necessary risks and precautions in order to make sure they put every survivor on the hook. With style and salt farming points for getting every survivor into the dying state, it doesn't matter if the killer has to sweat through 4 decisives, 3 unbreakables, 2 borrowed times, and a f***ing partridge in a pear tree. They earned that 4K, and they'll do their best to keep it. Sometimes a killer is in a particularly good mood. Maybe they had a series of strong and fun matches in the game. Maybe they had a great match against a group of friendly, equally skilled survivors. Maybe their grabs were successful or there was no lag in the last match. Who knows? But the point is that you as a killer sometimes run into a survivor who for some reason makes you feel like you should just cut them a break. Maybe their teammates were a sandbagging 3-man trying to get them sacrificed. Maybe their teammates were hell-bent on memeing the entire game and this poor survivor had to deal with all of that. Or maybe this happens. A survivor knows the match is over, and instead of prolonging the match by running away as if they had a chance, they simply stand still, offer their item up to you, because they know you won. This is the only time a survivor has stood still when they had the chance to run away. It was like wading through a sea of garbage survivors and stumbling across this pristine and exquisite example of human decency and humanity wrapped up in the silk garments of sportsmanship. So you decide to let this one live and let them get the hatch, because
you will find I am kind.
Sometimes a killer is just trying to have an enjoyable match. And while it's not the survivor's fault, there are several infuriating and unfair mechanics built into the game on purpose or by accident due to the myriad of bugs and balance issues. It doesn't change the fact that Dead by Daylight makes that dirty circus act at the county fair seem like the Cirque du Soleil on the strip. And playing as one of your weaker killers, skill-wise or just a weaker killer in general, can become a hard lesson in pain management, even if you have the pain tolerance of a dead fish. This killer probably just came out of a match where survivors held the upper hand during the entire match, and the killer felt helpless and frustrated, and now...
I want you to visualize all those people that have been mean to you, and then I want you to attack.
What's the matter with you, boy? You too stupid to do what your coach tells you? No.
No what?
I didn't mean to hurt you. Coach told me to pretend.
It's time for revenge. They got their best killer kitted out with their favorite add-ons, and the mentality that none of these survivors are getting out of this match. If you're tunneled off the hook, camped, slugged, farmed, and otherwise utterly demolished in a match with the uncomfortable ferocity of a sweat demon rubbing themselves all up in your business, know that it might not be your fault, and the killer might be a really nice guy. Maybe they had a really rough match previously, and have decided to take it all out on the survivors in this match. Don't take it personally. Just remember that killers have to deal with survivors just as much as you do, you brave and epic solo queue gamer. Swift survivors are less than human, so no need to feel bad about crushing their will to play. Sometimes we, as killers, like some of the creative names we see survivors give themselves. In this particular instance, I felt a camaraderie with I Hate DVD streamers, since I have a similar feeling towards 360 montage makers. Any creator who's made one is probably a complete douchebag.
Nope, Space Coconut. I played him earlier. Or maybe we both played him earlier.
Yeah, Space Coconut? Fuck Space Coconut.
Anyway, you go into the match convincing yourself that you're gonna let this particular survivor go simply because you like their name. But something happens as the match goes on. Even though you like their name, you continually end up calling them by other names. Jerk. Shit. Piece of crap. That shoulda hit. And fucking dead hard, among others. You slowly remember that no matter what cool name this survivor has given themselves, they're still a survivor, and their rightful place is on the ground or on the hook. After that, you forget whatever name they called themselves and proceed to make sure as many of them get onto the hooks as possible. Don't worry about what might happen or what they might say in the endgame chat. This is only a game after all. There's no reason to take it so seriously. That's it for today. Let me know what you think of these types of videos because I'm actually kind of enjoying making these ones. The next list I'm working on is a survivor tier list, so that's going to be fun. But if you have an idea for a list you'd like to see, leave a comment down below and it might become a video with your comment at the beginning. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for hanging out. So until next time, I'll see you in the fog.